So this is a quick run through of the work that we did on the social book in the 2 days before Foo Camp. So it's not super well styled yet, but I think it points to a lot of the things that we want to be able to do, and it's a good basis for the work that we want to do going forward. So the first thing to note is it's running on a public domain right now, just called orm-social-book-poc.herokuapp.com. So you can go there. The performance is pretty bad because we're just running it on the super cheapy Heroku servers. But if you click Browse Our Books, you can see this is the list of books that we've added in here. So we decided to take the Atlas manual and make that the first piece that we were really going to publish. So everything you'll see here was sort of authored in Atlas and published in Atlas and then posted on the web. So when you click on the book, the first thing it's going to do is redirect us back to O'Reilly.com using the framework that Marcel and Kartik have set up. And this will allow us to authorize and check our credentials, make sure we own the book, and if we do, it's going to take us straight to the page. So this is the rendering of the page. Again, this is just a day and a half of worth of work, so it's nothing too terribly fancy. But you can see here, this is just the rendered HTML of the XML. Here we can see there's some figures that have been dropped in. So these have been pulled out of the repo and published on S3 and deployed out through the web app. So it supports images. We also have a ad unit that we've dropped in, and this is something that will eventually replace with an ad server. So you can see that it's pretty easy to integrate those types of sponsorable elements into the design. And on chapter 4 here, this is an initial stab at adding an interactive element. I was really pleased how this works. This is a D3 JavaScript visualization that is basically taking a file that's been put inside the comma-separated value file that's been put inside the ASCII doc repository, and through this command inside the ASCII doc, we've developed a macro that says take this file and plot it using the D3 JavaScript library. So this really, it's not very sexy yet, but it's a really great example of how we'll be able to begin adding other dynamic elements. So one of the ones that came up over the course after the demos with Dale was the idea of taking a 3D model and being able to display it inside Atlas, so that if you're looking at a make project or something, you'd be able to look at the actual model itself, spin it around, and really interact with it in a kind of a cool way. So that was exciting. One other very subtle feature to notice here is inside the URL bar itself. You can see as I pass each section, it's changing to give an anchor link to the title of that section. And what that's going to allow us to do, and when I go back, it scrolls back, that's going to allow us to do a number of different things. First, we'll be able to anchor comments to those sections, so that'll help us filter and narrow where comments should appear. When people tweet out things about in social media channels, it will take the person who clicks on the link directly to this page, so it's got deep linking embedded right in. And it also gives us a way to track sort of where people are through the books, how far they've progressed. So we're going to be looking at tracking this stuff and adding an analytical component on top of it as well. We've also added a very, very rudimentary search interface. So if I do cats here, if I search for a word, this is hitting the test APIs that we've been working on. They're not pointed at the live data yet that Jacek has done. That's kind of a next step. But I think it shows, we'll be able to integrate search, full content search directly within here, and search and filter in interesting ways. So all in all, it's still a little rough, very rough. But one of the first things we're doing is to rectify that is Laura Painter's group is starting to work on some of the designs. So we've separated out in a very easy way to add new CSS and new JavaScript and new styling on these pages. So her group is taking a crack at a first design pass to make this look a lot more presentable and a lot more branded O'Reilly. But I think the plumbing and the basic guts and workflow for this really came together well over the 2 days before Foo.